I'm Gabby. I'm 19 now, and I'm writing this from my college dorm room, about a year after everything happened. I'm safe. I'm okay. But I need to tell you this story because too many people don't understand how someone like David can destroy a family. 5 years ago, my dad died in a car crash. I was 13. One minute, I had a normal life with a normal family. The next minute, my dad was gone, and my mom completely fell apart. She couldn't get out of bed for months, couldn't work, couldn't function. She'd sit in their bedroom wearing his old flannel shirts and staring at nothing. I became the parent. At 13 years old, I was paying bills, buying groceries, making sure we had food, reminding her to take her medication. For 3 years, it was just me keeping us alive. Then when I was 16, my mom joined a grief support group at the community center. That's where she met David. He seemed perfect at first. He said all the right things about loss and healing. He made her laugh for the first time since the funeral. Within weeks, he was wearing my dad's cologne, the exact same Old Spice classic my dad always wore. He started dressing like my dad, talking like my dad, using my dad's phrases. My mom thought it was the most romantic thing anyone had ever done. She thought David was honoring my dad's memory. She thought he was a gift. At first, I thought David was okay. A little weird with all the copying, but my mom was finally happy again. I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to ruin it for her. I didn't expect that he would turn into the crazy person he became. I wish he had never met my mom, but I need to take you back to the beginning. Back to when David walked into our lives and became exactly what my mother needed. That's when everything started falling apart. For the first few months, David seemed perfect. He'd show up at our house with white roses. Every single week, white roses. Those were the exact flowers my dad used to bring my mom. I noticed, but I didn't say anything. He started taking us to my dad's favorite restaurant, the Italian place on 5th Street where we used to go for birthdays. David would order my dad's usual meal, chicken parmesan with extra sauce. My mom would get tears in her eyes and say it was like having a piece of my dad back. Then one morning I smelled something that made my stomach drop. Old Spice classic. David was wearing my dad's cologne. My mom noticed it at breakfast. She just froze with her coffee cup halfway to her mouth. David smiled at her and said he'd asked what cologne Robert used to wear because he thought it might make her feel close to him again. My mom started crying. Happy tears. She hugged him and told him it was the sweetest gesture anyone had ever made. I thought it was creepy, but I didn't say anything. Within 2 months, David had completely changed his appearance. He started wearing flannel shirts exactly like my dad's. Work boots. He cut his hair the same way my dad always wore his. Short on the sides, a little longer on top. He started using my dad's phrases. That's the ticket, he'd say when something went well. Well, I'll be, he'd say when he was surprised. Those were my dad's exact words. My mom was happier than I'd seen her in 3 years. She'd smile when David walked in the room. She'd laugh at his jokes. She looked alive again instead of like a ghost. I pushed down the weird feeling in my stomach. This was good for her. That's what mattered. David proposed after 6 months, put on my dad's favorite song, and got down on one knee in our living room. My mom said yes immediately. They got married 8 months after they met. Small ceremony at the courthouse, then a reception at a local restaurant. I was the maid of honor. I wore a blue dress and smiled in all the photos and told myself this was a good thing. David moved in completely after the wedding. He took over my dad's side of the closet. His Old Spice sat on the bathroom counter where my dad's used to be. He started managing household stuff, taking charge, making decisions. The first month of marriage was blissful for my mom. She hummed while she cooked dinner. She stopped crying in the shower when she thought I couldn't hear. I was cautiously hopeful. Maybe this would actually work. Within 3 months of the wedding, I started noticing things weren't adding up. And David wasn't who he claimed to be. Month 2 of the marriage. David quit his job. He'd been working at an insurance company downtown. Good pay, stable hours. He came home one Tuesday and announced he'd quit. Toxic work environment, he said. The boss was unreasonable. The coworkers were hostile. I couldn't stay there anymore. My mom hugged him and said she understood. She told him to take his time finding something better. He said he was interviewing at different places, but I never saw him dress up for interviews. Never saw him leave the house with a resume. He was always home when I got back from school. By month 3, David was still unemployed. He said he was being selective about opportunities. Didn't want to jump into another bad situation. Month 4. The bills started coming in late. I saw a past due stamp on the electric bill when I got the mail. That had never happened when it was just me and my mom. We'd always paid everything on time even when money was tight. But David was wearing new clothes. Designer jeans, a nice watch, new sneakers that looked expensive. My mom was working 12-hour shifts at the hospital. She's a nurse and she was picking up every extra shift they'd give her. She'd come home exhausted. Her scrubs would be wrinkled and stained. She'd barely have energy to eat dinner. David was home all day. I'd come back from school and he'd be on the couch watching TV. Job hunting, he'd say if I asked. I heard them arguing in their bedroom one night. My mom was crying. I pressed my ear against the wall and heard David ask for $2,000. An investment opportunity. It'll triple in 6 months. I promise. My mom's voice was so tired. Okay, if you really think it'll help. A week later, David had a new leather jacket. Black. Expensive looking. Real leather. I started checking the mail more carefully. Found my mom's bank statement and looked at it before she got home. Withdrawals everywhere. 500 here, 800 there, 1,200, 600. The account balance was shockingly low. I asked my mom about money that night while we were doing dishes. She got defensive immediately. David's working on something big. Marriage means supporting each other through hard times. But he's not working at all, I said. He's trying. You don't understand how hard it is out there right now. Month 6. David took over the household finances. Said it would make things easier if he managed everything. My mom gave him access to her checking account. I noticed she was picking up even more shifts. Double shifts. Working 60+ hours a week. She was losing weight. Dark circles under her eyes. Her hands would shake when she poured coffee in the morning. David still hadn't worked. 8 months into the marriage and he hadn't contributed a single dollar. I started finding old bills in the trash. Electric company, water, all marked past due or final notice. My mom borrowed money from her sister. $2,500 to catch up on everything. That same week, David brought home a huge new TV, 65 inches. Left the box in the garage where I could see it. I realized what was happening. David was draining us. He was spending my mom's money on himself while she worked herself to death keeping us afloat. But the money problems were just the beginning. And I had no idea that somewhere out there, someone was watching David repeat the exact same pattern they'd already lived through. By the time I turned 17, David had been married to my mom for about 10 months. That's when the isolation started. Every time I left the house, David would interrogate me. Where exactly are you going? Who will be there? What time will you be back? Why so late? At first, it seemed like he was just being a parent, concerned about my safety. Normal stuff. But then my best friend came over to study one afternoon. David lingered in my bedroom doorway, sat on the edge of my bed, made uncomfortable small talk while we were trying to do homework. He asked her weird personal questions. Do you have a boyfriend? How's your parents' marriage doing? Do they fight a lot? After she left, she texted me. Your stepdad is really intense. That was uncomfortable. This happened 3 more times with different friends. David would show up, sit too close, ask inappropriate questions about their relationships and their families. My friends stopped coming over. They'd make excuses when I invited them. Sorry, I'm busy. Maybe another time. Can we just meet at the coffee shop instead? I started noticing David would comment on what I was wearing, but only when my mom wasn't around. That skirt is pretty short, don't you think? Your father wouldn't have wanted you wearing crop tops like that. You're getting the wrong kind of attention dressing that way. He'd always say it in this concerned tone, like he was looking out for me, but it made my skin crawl. I tried mentioning it to my mom once. David said something weird about my outfit today. She barely looked up from folding laundry. He's just looking out for you. He cares about you. David started being in the hallway when I went to the bathroom. 3 different times he tried to open the bathroom door while I was in the shower. Didn't realize you were in there, he'd say. I started locking every single door in the house. Bedroom door, bathroom door, even interior doors that had never been locked before. David criticized everything I did around the house. You loaded the dishwasher wrong. You didn't fold the laundry right. Your room isn't clean enough. Nothing I did was ever good enough. He'd nitpick in front of my mom constantly. She'd always agree with him. He has a point, sweetie. You need to be more thorough. I felt like I was suffocating. My friends were gone. My mom always took his side. I was constantly on edge in my own home. Always wrong. Always doing something that deserved criticism. I couldn't do anything right and I had no one to talk to about it. Then I started dating Hector, and that's when David showed me just how far he was willing to go to control every aspect of my life. I met Hector in history class during junior year. He was sweet, funny, made me feel normal for the first time in months. We started dating, and for about 2 weeks I was actually happy. I kept him away from my house at first. We'd meet at the library or the park or the coffee shop downtown, but eventually he had to pick me up for a date. I couldn't avoid it forever. David answered the door, made Hector stand on the porch while he asked him questions for 10 full minutes. Where are you taking her? What time will she be back? What are your intentions with my daughter? Hector was polite about it, answered everything, but he texted me after he dropped me off. Your stepdad is really protective, wow. The second time Hector picked me up, David asked for his parents' phone number and address, for emergency purposes, just in case something happens. Hector thought it was weird, but he gave the information. He figured it was standard parent behavior. That night, David called Hector's parents, without telling me, without telling my mom, just called them up and introduced himself. He said he wanted to meet them since our kids were dating seriously. They'd been on 2 dates. Hector's parents were confused, but they agreed to coffee. They're nice people. They didn't want to be rude. 3 days later, David met them at a coffee shop. Still didn't tell me or my mom he was doing this. He told them stories about me. Some were true, some were exaggerated, some were complete lies. He said I'd struggled with behavioral issues since my dad died, that I'd been acting out and rebelling, that I wasn't following rules at home. He planted this idea that I was troubled, that I might be a bad influence on Hector. Hector's parents told him about the meeting. Hector came to me confused and uncomfortable. Why did your stepdad meet my parents without telling you? That's insane. I had no idea it had even happened. I was humiliated. A week later, David showed up at Hector's house. Saturday afternoon. Unannounced. He told Hector's parents he was in the neighborhood and wanted to see where I spent time. Then he walked around outside their house, looked in windows, made small talk like this was totally normal. Hector's mom called my mom immediately. Your husband stopped by unexpectedly. It was very uncomfortable. My mom apologized, but then told me David was just being protective, that I should be grateful someone cared that much. Then David started showing up everywhere we went. The coffee shop where we studied. Oh wow, what a coincidence. The park where we'd hang out. Just out for a walk. He'd drive past the movie theater right as we were going in. Wave through the window. This happened 5 times in 2 weeks. It wasn't coincidence. It was stalking. Hector was freaked out. Gabby, your stepdad is following us. He's stalking us. This isn't normal parent behavior. I broke down and told him everything. How David had been getting progressively worse. How I felt trapped. Hector wanted to help, but his parents called him that night. They said he couldn't see me anymore. This situation is too much. That man is not stable and we don't want you involved. Hector was so sorry. He actually cried when he told me, but his parents wouldn't let him date me. We broke up after 6 weeks together. I was devastated, and I knew exactly why it happened. I confronted David that night. You sabotaged my relationship on purpose. He acted completely innocent, confused. I was just trying to get to know the boy dating my daughter. I was being a good parent. What did I do wrong? My mom sided with him immediately. You're overreacting. He was just looking out for you. If Hector really cared, his parents' opinion wouldn't matter. I realized David would destroy any relationship I tried to have. He'd make sure I stayed isolated, make sure I had no one. Losing Hector broke something in me. But I didn't know that David's pattern of destruction was being watched by someone who recognized every single move he was making senior year started, and I turned 18 in September. By this point, David had been unemployed for 14 months straight, over a year without working a single day. But he was wearing Gucci belts, designer sunglasses, expensive sneakers, a smartwatch that cost hundreds of dollars. My mom was working herself to death, 60+ hours every week at the hospital. She'd lost at least 15 pounds. She looked 10 years older than she had before marrying David. Dark circles, shaking hands, exhausted all the time. I asked her once how David could afford all those expensive clothes when he didn't have a job. She got defensive. He's managing investments online. It's complicated. You wouldn't understand. I started digging through the trash when they weren't looking. Found credit card statements my mom had thrown away. $18,000 in debt. Spread across 3 different cards. All the charges were David's. Restaurants where he'd spent $300 on a meal. Clothing stores, electronics, bars. I brought the statements to my mom, confronted her in the kitchen while David was out. She broke down crying. I know, I'm trying to figure it out. Please don't make this harder. David walked in right then. Figure what out? Our private financial situation that you're discussing with a child. He turned the whole thing around. Made it about how my mom had betrayed his trust by showing me the statements. How am I supposed to feel like the man of this house when you go behind my back? My mom apologized to him. To David, the person who'd put us $18,000 in debt. I just stood there stunned watching her apologize to the person who was destroying us. Bills kept coming in months overdue. Electric company sent a final notice. Water company threatened to shut off service. My mom had to borrow $2,500 from her sister to catch up. That same week, David bought a 65-inch TV. Left the box in the garage where I could see it. I took a photo of it with my phone. Started documenting everything. Late at night when they were asleep, I researched financial abuse online. Found article after article describing exactly what David was doing. Predatory partners who systematically drain their victims. Who spend money freely while the victim works constantly. Who gaslight and manipulate when confronted. Every single description matched David perfectly. I tried talking to my mom when David was out. Rare moment when he actually left the house. Mom, I've been reading about financial abuse. This is exactly what David is doing to you. She shut down immediately. You don't understand adult relationships. David is going through a hard time finding the right job. Marriage means supporting each other through difficulties. He's not supporting you. You're supporting him while he buys designer clothes and big TVs with your money. I need you to stop disrespecting my husband. This is my marriage, not yours. Stay out of it. I realized she was too deep in denial to hear me. Too invested in believing David was a good person. I decided I needed undeniable proof. Something she couldn't ignore or explain away. I started keeping a detailed journal. Dates and times of every expense I witnessed. Every lie David told. Every time my mom made excuses for him. I took screenshots when I could. Photos of receipts. Copies of bills I found in the trash. I was building a case. Documenting everything. I spent weeks building my case against David. Certain that hard evidence would finally make my mom see the truth. I had no idea that the proof I really needed was in the hands of someone I'd never even heard of. I documented everything for 3 weeks in October. Every receipt. Every bill, every expense. I created a spreadsheet on my laptop, listed my mom's income on one side, household expenses in the middle, David's personal spending on the other side. The numbers were damning. In just the past 3 months, David had spent $8,000 on himself. He'd contributed exactly $0 to the household. My mom had taken on $12,000 in new debt during that same time period. We were 2 months behind on the mortgage, $3,400 owed. I printed everything out, organized it in a folder, felt confident for the first time in months. This was irrefutable proof, mathematical evidence. She'd have to believe me now. I waited for an evening when all 3 of us were home, sat them down at the kitchen table. We need to talk about our finances. I have information you both need to see. I laid out every piece of evidence like a presentation. Credit card statements, overdue bills, photos of David's luxury purchases, my spreadsheet printed in color. I went through it point by point. David's 14-month unemployment, his spending, the debt accumulation. Mom, he's financially abusing you. He hasn't worked in over a year. He's spending thousands of dollars while you work yourself to death. This is textbook financial abuse. My mom stared at the spreadsheet. Her face went pale. She looked at the numbers for a long time. For one brief moment, I actually thought I'd gotten through to her. David stayed completely silent through my entire presentation. Just let me finish. Didn't interrupt once. Then his eyes filled with tears. He actually started crying, real tears running down his face. Marg, I'm so sorry. I've been so ashamed. I didn't want Gabby to know how much I'm struggling. His voice broke. He explained that he'd been battling depression since losing his job, that he'd been interviewing but kept getting rejected and it was destroying his self-worth. He claimed the expensive items were gifts from his brother, or things he'd bought before he lost his job. All lies, but my mom didn't know that. I've been trying to keep up appearances because I'm embarrassed. I'm the man of the house and I'm failing you both. Then he brought up my dad. Robert was such a good provider. He would have wanted me to take care of his family. I'm trying so hard and I'm failing. Now Gabby thinks I'm some kind of monster. He was using my dead father to manipulate my mom. It worked. My mom started crying too. She moved around the table to comfort David instead of listening to me. David kept talking through his tears. Maybe Gabby's right. Maybe I should just leave. You two were doing fine before I came along. I'm just a burden. He started to stand up like he was actually going to walk out. My mom grabbed his arm. No, don't go. Don't say that. We'll figure this out together. Then she turned to me. This is not how we handle family problems. You ambushed him. You attacked him. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Attacked him? Did you not see the numbers? David's voice got quiet, hurt. The numbers don't show my depression, Gabby. They don't show how hard I've been trying. They don't show my pain. My mom looked at me with this expression. Disappointed. Almost angry. I need you to apologize to David right now. Apologize for what? For showing you proof he's destroying us? For ambushing him like this? For humiliating him? For making him feel like he's not part of this family? I refused to apologize. Just sat there shaking my head. David played the magnanimous victim perfectly. It's okay, Marg. She's young. She doesn't understand how complicated adult life is. She doesn't understand what I'm going through. He talked down to me while maintaining his victim role the entire time. The argument escalated. I started yelling about the evidence. My mom kept defending David, making excuses. David stayed perfectly calm the whole time, which made me look hysterical and irrational by comparison. My mom finally got exhausted. If you can't be respectful in this house, maybe you need some space to think about your behavior. Are you seriously choosing him over me right now? I'm not choosing anyone. I'm asking you to respect my marriage and my husband. The threat hung in the air between us. Get in line or get out. I went to my room and slammed the door. Lay on my bed staring at the ceiling. I could hear David's voice through the wall, consoling my mom in the kitchen. She'll come around. She's just at that difficult age. Everything seems like a crisis when you're 18. That night lying in bed, I realized something that terrified me. I wasn't just fighting David anymore. I was fighting my mom's desperate need to believe his lies, and that was a battle I was going to lose. A week after the evidence confrontation, things in our house were toxic. It was late October by then. The air felt heavy and wrong every time I walked through the front door. My mom barely spoke to me. She'd look past me when I walked into a room, treated me like I was the problem, like I was the one who'd done something wrong. David was overly cheerful, made passive-aggressive comments constantly. Beautiful day, isn't it, Gabby? Some people just focus on negatives instead of appreciating what they have. You know what they say. Gratitude is the key to happiness. Too bad not everyone understands that. I felt like I was losing my mind, going crazy in my own home. One afternoon, I came home from school and my mom's phone was sitting on the kitchen counter. She was in the shower. The screen was unlocked. Her banking app was open. I looked. David had withdrawn $4,000 from her retirement account. Her retirement. Money she'd been saving since before I was born. Money that was supposed to keep her stable when she couldn't work anymore. I took a photo with my phone. My hands were shaking so hard the first 2 pictures came out blurry. That evening, I tried one more time. One final attempt to get through to her. I waited until we were in the kitchen together. David was upstairs. Mom, I need to show you something. I pulled up the photo on my phone, showed her the retirement account withdrawal. He took $4,000 from your retirement fund. What happens when you can't work anymore? When you're older and need that money, you'll have nothing. My mom looked so tired. Her voice came out flat. I asked you to drop this. Why can't you just let it go? Because I'm watching him destroy your entire future. In 5 years, you'll be broke and he'll be gone and you'll have nothing left. David's voice came from the doorway. What's all the yelling about? I could hear you from upstairs. I showed him my phone. You took $4,000 from her retirement fund. David stayed perfectly calm. That's between me and my wife. Our finances are not your concern. They are my concern. When mom has nothing left, who do you think will have to take care of her? Me. His voice got condescending. You're 18 now. Your future is your own responsibility. Time to grow up and stop blaming others for your problems. My mom tried to cut in. David, don't. He talked over her. No, Marg. This has gone on long enough. I've tried to be patient. I've tried to be understanding. But Gabby clearly has no respect for our marriage or for me. His voice got more serious, harder. I can't live in a house where I'm constantly attacked and disrespected. I've tried everything to bond with her, to be a father figure, and she throws it back in my face every single time. Then he said it. The ultimatum. It's me or her. I'm not doing this anymore. You have to choose. The silence in that kitchen was so heavy I could barely breathe. I stared at my mom, heart pounding, waiting. She wouldn't look at me, just stared down at the counter. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was so quiet I almost didn't hear it. Gabby, I think you should stay with Mrs. Amy for a while. My world collapsed in that moment. Mom, no. Please don't do this. Her voice shook, but she kept going. Just until graduation. Just until things calm down and you can learn to be respectful. I'm 5 months from graduating. You're kicking me out 5 months before I finish high school? David's voice was falsely sympathetic. This is for everyone's good. Some distance will help you mature and see things clearly. You don't get to make decisions about my life. My mom was crying now, but her voice stayed firm. Gabby, please don't make this harder than it already is. I need you to go. I tried one more time. Desperate. Mom, look at me. Say it. Say you're choosing him over me. She wouldn't look up. I'm not choosing anyone. This is about you learning to respect my marriage. I stared at her for another few seconds, waiting for her to change her mind, to realize what she was doing. She didn't look up. Fine. I went to my room and started packing. Threw clothes into 2 black garbage bags. Grabbed my laptop, my phone charger, photos of my dad, things I couldn't leave behind. I was crying the entire time. Couldn't see what I was packing. Just grabbed stuff and shoved it in. David stood in the hallway watching, not even trying to hide his smirk anymore. Before I walked out, I stopped right in front of him. I know exactly what you are, and somehow I'm going to prove it. His smirk got wider. Good luck with that, sweetheart. Your mom made her choice. I walked past him, down the stairs, through the living room where my mom sat on the couch with her face in her hands. I didn't say goodbye. Just walked out the front door into the cold January night with my 2 garbage bags. Never looked back. I sat in my car outside Mrs. Amy's house that night, homeless 5 months before graduation, sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. I had no idea that the person who would save me was already searching for me. Mrs. and Amy took me in without asking questions, set me up on her couch with blankets and a pillow. You can stay as long as you need, she said. No time limit. You're safe here. I stayed on that couch from January through mid-April. 3.5 months. I got 2 part-time jobs, coffee shop in the mornings before school, retail store in the evenings and on weekends. I worked 25 to 30 hours every week on top of going to school full-time. I still went to every single class. Couldn't afford to miss anything. My grades dropped from A's to B's and C's, but I was passing. That was all that mattered. Most days I'd work 4 to 6 hours after school, then come back to Mrs. Amy's and do homework until midnight. I was exhausted constantly, running on fumes, barely keeping it together. I lost 10 pounds in the first month, wasn't eating enough, too stressed, too busy. Food felt like a waste of time and money. Mr. Hendry noticed I was falling asleep in history class. He pulled me aside after class one day. Gabby, my classroom is a safe space for you. You can do homework here after school, eat lunch here, even nap if you need to. No questions asked. He started bringing me granola bars and fruit. Would leave them on my desk with a note that just said, eat something. That kindness made me cry. First adult besides Mrs. Amy who actually seemed to care what happened to me. My mom texted me sporadically, maybe once every week or 2. How are you doing? Then a few days later, have you thought about apologizing to David? He's willing to forgive you if you just admit you were wrong. I never responded to the apology requests. Just deleted them. Some of my friends' parents started acting weird around me. Uncomfortable. I overheard one parent in the school parking lot. I feel bad for her, but we can't get involved in family drama. We have our own kids to worry about. Another friend stopped inviting me over. Her parents said no. She told me she was sorry, but she couldn't do anything about it. I felt abandoned by almost everyone except Mrs. Amy and Mr. Hendry. 3 months into being homeless, it was April. I checked my mom's Facebook. We were still friends online. She hadn't blocked me. Recent photos showed her and David at expensive restaurants. David wearing new designer clothes in every single picture. The captions were things like, "Date night with my love," with a heart emoji, and "So blessed," with a photo of them holding wine glasses. The comments were full of people saying, "You two are perfect together. Relationship goals. Such a beautiful couple." I wanted to scream, wanted to post the truth in the comments, but I knew it wouldn't help, would just make me look bitter and jealous. I started researching David obsessively every night before I went to sleep. His Facebook only went back 3 years, created right before he met my mom. His LinkedIn showed jobs at companies that had closed down, or companies that didn't seem to exist at all when I searched for them. I Googled his name combined with different city names, tried to find anything about his past. Any evidence that he'd done this before? Nothing. Dead ends everywhere. I searched things like financial abuser warning signs, and con man tactics, and predatory husband behaviors. Every single article matched David perfectly, but I had no concrete proof he'd done this to anyone else. I hit a complete wall. Couldn't find any evidence that David had a history of this. I felt trapped, hopeless, like I was going crazy and making up patterns that didn't exist. One night in mid-April, I broke down sobbing to Mrs. Amy. Just completely fell apart. What if I'm wrong about everything? What if I really am the problem? What if David is just a guy going through a hard time and I made it all worse? Mrs. Amy sat next to me on the couch, put her arm around my shoulders. "Honey, your mom chose a man she's known for 2 years over you. Even if you were wrong about David. So even if everything you thought about him was completely incorrect. What she did is still unforgivable. She kicked out her own daughter to make her new husband happy. That helped. A little. But I still felt alone. Still felt like I'd lost everything. I decided to just survive until June graduation. Then I'd leave for college somewhere far away and never come back. Go completely no contact with my mom. Except that I'd lost her forever. I made peace with it. Or tried to. I accepted that I was completely alone in this. I had completely given up on ever exposing David's lies. But that same week, someone who knew all his secrets was typing out a message that would change everything. It was mid-April. About 3.5 months after my mom kicked me out. I was lying on Mrs. Amy's couch scrolling through Facebook before bed. Something I did every night. Checking my mom's page. Torturing myself with photos of her looking happy with David. A message notification popped up. From someone named Nina. No mutual friends. Private profile with no photo. I opened it. "You don't know me, but I saw your mother's Facebook posts about family struggles and difficult times with her daughter. I need to talk to you urgently. I know David. He's done this before. He's doing it again. Please respond." My heart stopped. I read the message 5 times. Who was this person? How did they know David? How did they know about my mom's posts? My hands were shaking when I typed back. "Who are you? How do you know him?" The response came in less than 2 minutes. She'd been waiting for me to reply. "I can explain everything when we meet. I have proof. I have documents. I can prove everything you've been trying to tell your mother. Please. Tomorrow. 4 p.m. She sent an address. Coffee shop downtown. I stared at my phone screen. "What kind of proof?" Her response came immediately. "The kind that will make her believe you. I promise. Please come." I couldn't sleep that entire night. Just lay there on the couch staring at the ceiling. He's done this before. What did that mean? Done what before? The financial abuse? The isolation? All of it? I have proof. What kind of proof? Documents? Photos? What could she possibly have? Who was Nina? An ex-girlfriend? A former coworker? Someone else he'd scammed? For the first time in months, I felt a tiny spark of hope, but also terror. What if this was a trap? What if David had somehow set this up? What if Nina was lying? The next day at school, I couldn't focus on anything. Every class felt like it lasted hours. I kept checking my phone, looking at Nina's messages, making sure I hadn't imagined them. Mr. Hendry noticed during history class. "You okay, Gabby? You seem really distracted today." I nodded. Didn't trust myself to speak without crying. After class, he pulled me aside. "Whatever's going on, I hope you're being careful. And I hope you get the answers you need." I left my retail job early that afternoon. Called in sick for the first time ever. Told them I had a family emergency. I got to the coffee shop at 3 p.m. A full hour early. Sat at a corner table with my leg bouncing. Couldn't stop fidgeting. Kept looking at the door. What if she didn't show up? What if this was all fake? 4 p.m. arrived. The door opened. A woman in her 40s walked in. Professional looking. Carrying a thick manila folder. She looked around the coffee shop. Our eyes met. She walked straight to my table. "Gabby?" I nodded. Couldn't speak. My heart was pounding so hard I thought she could probably hear it. "I'm Nina. Thank you so much for meeting me." She sat down across from me. Set the manila folder on the table between us. I stared at that folder. It looked heavy. full. How do you know David? Nina took a deep breath. I was married to him. The coffee shop went silent around me. Everything stopped. What Nina told me over the next hour made me realize David wasn't just a con man. He was a predator who had perfected his system on multiple families before mine. Nina opened the folder, pulled out official-looking documents. This is the restraining order I filed against David 3 years ago. This is our divorce decree. These are bank statements showing systematic theft. I stared at David's name printed on court documents. His full legal name. It was really him. Nina started talking. Her story poured out. I was divorced when I met David 4 years ago, at a support group for people going through major life transitions. I was vulnerable, lonely, working as an accountant trying to support myself. David love-bombed me from the start. Flowers every week, constant attention. He was so understanding about my pain. Within a few weeks, he started wearing my ex-husband's cologne. I thought it was a strange coincidence at first. Then he started dressing like my ex. Same style of clothes, same haircut. He'd use phrases my ex used to say. Mannerisms. The way he'd laugh at certain things. Nina's voice got quiet. He becomes whoever the woman needs him to be. It's his tactic. He studies them. Copies their lost spouse. Becomes a replacement. He's done it before. Multiple times. We got married after 9 months. Similar timeline to you and your mom. I have a daughter, Mia. She was 16 when David came into our lives. My stomach dropped. The exact same age I'd been. David never kept a steady job after we got married. Always between opportunities. Always had an excuse. He started spending my money. Designer clothes, electronics, expensive dinners. Over 18 months, he drained my savings from $45,000 down to zero. Nina pulled out bank statements, showed me the withdrawals, the spending. It matched what David had done to my mom exactly. When Mia was 17, she tried to tell me what was happening. That David was making her uncomfortable, isolating her from friends, making inappropriate comments. I didn't believe her. Nina's voice cracked. David convinced me that Mia was jealous of our relationship, that she was troubled, that she was manipulative, that she wanted me to be alone and miserable. I chose him over my own daughter. Mia moved out the day she turned 18, cut off all contact with me, wouldn't answer my calls, wouldn't respond to texts. I didn't find out the truth for 6 more months. I found David's second phone, hidden in the garage in a box of old tools, text messages to another woman, plans already in motion. Nina pulled out printed screenshots. This one's almost dried up, already planning my next move. Another text. I give it 6 more months before she's completely broke. Then I'm gone. Bank statements showing systematic transfers to his personal account. Money I didn't know about. Money he'd been hiding. I confronted him with all the evidence. He admitted everything. Laughed about it. Said I was too easy. Called me pathetic. I divorced him immediately. Filed a restraining order. He disappeared after that. Moved to a different state. I spent the next 2 years trying to rebuild my relationship with Mia. Apologizing. Going to therapy. Trying to make her understand that I'd been manipulated too. Nina's eyes were red. Mia is 22 now. We're in a better place. But she'll never fully trust me again. I chose a con man over my own daughter, and she'll never forget that I did that to her. I tracked David on social media over the years. Watched for his patterns. Tried to make sure he wasn't doing it to anyone else. 6 months ago, I saw he'd remarried. A widow with a teenage daughter. Then I saw your mom's Facebook posts. Family struggles. Difficult daughter. The same exact words David had made me use about Mia. I recognized the pattern immediately. I spent months debating whether to reach out. Scared of getting involved. Scared of making things worse. But I couldn't stay silent. I couldn't let him do this again. Nina pulled out more documents. Photos of David wearing designer brands from years ago. Printed text messages. Detailed bank records. I found his first ex-wife too. Before me. Woman named Karen. She also had a teenage daughter when David married her. He did the exact same thing to them. Same cologne trick. Same copying behavior. Same financial abuse. Same isolation tactics. This is his pattern. He targets vulnerable women with daughters and money. Studies them. Becomes what they need. Then slowly destroys them. He's done this at least 3 times that we know of. Probably more. I sat there with tears running down my face, looking at all the evidence spread across the table. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't wrong. David really was exactly what I thought he was. But Nina wasn't done. She had brought someone else who had lived through exactly what I was living through. Someone who could prove to my mom that every single thing I'd said was true. Nina pulled out her phone while I was still trying to process everything. Can you come to the coffee shop? I found her. David's stepdaughter. 20 minutes later, a young woman walked in. Early 20s. Professional looking, but I could see the guardedness in her eyes. The same guardedness I probably had. She walked straight to our table. You're Gabby? I nodded. I'm Mia. She sat down across from me. Studied my face for a long moment. You're living my life from 4 years ago. I can see it in your eyes. Then she started talking. No prompting needed. like she'd been waiting years to tell this to someone who would understand. He isolated me from all my friends, made them uncomfortable when they came over, asked inappropriate questions. They stopped visiting. He sabotaged my relationship with my boyfriend, met his parents without telling me, told them I was troubled. They made us break up. He made comments about my clothes when my mom wasn't around, always when she couldn't hear, always with this concerned tone like he was protecting me. She looked directly at me. He told my boyfriend's parents I was troubled, met them in secret. Exact same thing? I nodded, unable to speak. He drove away all my friends, made me think I was going crazy, made me doubt everything I knew was true. When I tried to tell my mom what was happening, she didn't believe me. She chose him. Mia looked at Nina with pain still visible after all these years. No offense, Mom, but that almost destroyed me permanently. Nina's voice was quiet. I know. I deserve that and worse. Mia turned back to me. You're going to survive this. I promise you. It feels impossible right now, but you'll come out stronger on the other side. We need to go to your mom, all three of us. Show her everything. Make it impossible for her to deny. I felt hope for the first time in months. Real hope. Not just wishful thinking. But Mia warned me. Be prepared, though. She might still defend him at first. Denial is incredibly powerful. My mom did. It took seeing all the evidence at once to break through. I'm ready. I have to try one more time. We exchanged phone numbers, made a plan. Tomorrow, Saturday afternoon, we'd all go to my house together, confront my mom with everything, all the evidence, all the court documents, Mia's testimony, Nina's story, make it impossible for her to explain away or ignore. The next day, we showed up at my house with undeniable proof, but nothing could have prepared me for how explosive and messy the confrontation would become Saturday afternoon. The three of us pulled up to my house in Nina's car. I hadn't been here in 3.5 months. The house looked exactly the same, but felt completely different. Foreign. Like it belonged to someone else now. We walked up to the front door together. United. I rang the doorbell. It felt wrong to ring the doorbell at my own house. But I didn't live here anymore. My mom opened the door. She was wearing weekend clothes. Looked completely shocked to see me. Gabby? Who are these people? Nina stepped forward. I'm Nina, David's ex-wife. This is my daughter Mia. We need to talk to you right now. It's urgent. My mom looked confused. Kept looking between the three of us. David's ex-wife? He told me you were unstable. That you stalked him. That's why the marriage ended. Nina's voice stayed calm. I'm sure that's exactly what he told you. Can we come inside? This really can't wait. My mom hesitated. Looked uncomfortable. Looked back into the house like she was checking if David was there. Finally, she stepped aside. Okay, come in. We walked into the living room, the space that used to be mine. Now it felt hostile. David appeared from the kitchen, holding a beer. Saw us. His face went completely white. The beer almost slipped from his hand. He caught it at the last second. He froze in the kitchen doorway. Couldn't move. Couldn't speak. For several long seconds, nobody said anything. Just stood there staring at each other. David stared at Nina and Mia like he was seeing ghosts, like people who'd risen from the dead. His eyes locked onto the thick manila folder in Nina's hands. He knew exactly why we were here. Knew exactly what was in that folder. David tried to sound authoritative, but his voice shook. What the hell is this? Marg, call the police. These people are harassing us. He started backing toward the back door, looking for an escape route. Mia stepped quickly into his path. Blocked him. You're not running away this time. David's voice got harder. Get out of my way right now. He tried to push past her. Shoulder check. Trying to force his way through. Mia stood firm. Didn't budge. Nina's voice was steel. If you leave, I'm calling the police myself. You violated the restraining order by being in the same state as me. It was a bluff. The restraining order had expired. But David didn't know that. He stopped trying to leave. Realized he was cornered. Trapped. My mom's voice was rising. Getting panicked. Will someone please tell me what's going on? I spoke for the first time since entering. My voice came out steadier than I expected. Mom, just sit down. Please. Just listen for 5 minutes. That's all we're asking. My mom sat on the couch, looking frantically between all of us, terrified. Nina walked to the coffee table, lifted the manila folder. Then she dumped the entire contents across the table. Papers cascaded everywhere. Court documents, bank statements, photographs, printed text messages, police reports. These are court records from our divorce. This is the restraining order I filed 3 years ago. These are bank statements showing David stole $45,000 from me over 18 months. David's voice was desperate now, frantic. This is insane. Marg, this woman is crazy. She's been stalking me for years. She's obsessed with me. Don't listen to her. Mia pulled out her phone. I'm not crazy. You stole $30,000 from my college fund. You destroyed my relationship with my mother. David kept talking over her. That's a complete lie. Marg, don't listen to them. They're trying to destroy us. They're jealous of what we have. Nina picked up the restraining order, walked it directly to my mom, put it in her hands. Read it. It's dated 3 years ago. Official court document with a judge's signature. My mom took it with shaking hands. Could barely hold it steady enough to read. She started reading. Her face changed as she saw David's name, the charges listed, the dates matching up with his timeline. David was watching my mom desperately. Panic in his eyes. Those are forged. They doctored everything. Baby, you know me. You love me. We're married. You know I would never do this. I finally spoke up, my voice firm. Mom, look at the dates. Look at the pattern. Look at what he did to Mia. He did to them exactly what he's doing to us. The cologne, the copying, the isolation, the stealing, everything. My mom was still reading the documents, hands trembling violently, looking between different pages. Her world was crumbling, and I could see it happening on her face. What happened next made me realize that David's mask was finally about to shatter completely. And when it did, the monster underneath was even worse than I'd imagined. Mia looked at me, pulled up something on her phone. I recorded this years ago, before I moved out. I need your mom to hear it. She pressed play. David's voice came through the phone speaker, clear and unmistakable. She has no idea how much I've taken. By the time she figures it out, I'll be long gone with enough to live on for years. These women are so easy. Give them some attention and they'll hand over everything. My mom looked up sharply from the documents. When was that recorded? Nina's voice was steady. 4 years ago. He was on the phone with someone, bragging about conning me. I recorded it through the wall. David lunged across the room. Give me that phone right now. He shoved Mia hard with both hands. She stumbled backward into the wall. I jumped between them immediately. Don't you dare touch her. David raised his hand, fist clenched, arm pulled back like he was going to hit me. My mom screamed louder than I'd ever heard her. Stop! Everybody stop right now! She stood up from the couch, shaking so violently I thought she might fall over, with rage or fear or both. Her voice came out deadly quiet and controlled. David, did you steal from Nina? Baby, it's not what you think. It's way more complicated than... My mom's voice got louder, commanding. Yes or no? Did you steal from her? David tried to deflect. Our finances were complicated. She never understood the investments. She didn't trust me like you do. My mom cut him off. Did you steal from my family by driving my daughter out so you could keep spending my money without anyone questioning you? Heavy silence. Everyone holding their breath. David's face started changing, the mask cracking, visibly breaking apart. His voice came out quiet at first. You were so easy, Marg. My mom's face went blank. What did you just say? David got louder, all pretense dropping away. I said you were easy. Pathetically, embarrassingly easy. The room went completely silent. You could hear a pin drop. David kept going, venom pouring out now that the mask was off. Desperate widow. So lonely. So grateful someone paid attention to her sad existence. You would have believed anything I said. I could have told you the sky was green and you'd have agreed. He pointed at me. And you. Playing the victim constantly. Crying about your dead daddy. You made it even easier to isolate you. One sob story and your mom would take my side every single time. My mom was frozen. In complete shock. Couldn't process what she was hearing. David was on a roll now. All charm completely gone. I've made $50,000 off you in 2 years. Easiest money of my entire life. He actually laughed. Genuine, cruel laughter. You know what's funny? You did half the work for me. You kicked your own daughter out when she tried to warn you. Saved me the trouble of getting rid of her myself. He pulled out his phone. Waved it around. Want to know the best part? I've already got the next one lined up. Met her online last month. Another widow. Her daughter just turned 15. Perfect age. Young, naive, trusting, easy to manipulate and control. He smirked at all of us, proud of himself. Mia was recording the entire confession on her phone. David was too caught up in his rant to notice. I kept him talking, kept him going. You're disgusting. You deliberately target grieving women and their daughters. You're a predator. David's smile was nasty. I target stupid women who make it easy. If you're dumb enough to fall for it, that's on you. Natural selection. The weak get picked off. He suddenly noticed Mia's phone, pointed directly at him, recording. His face changed from smug to panicked in an instant. Give me that phone. Give it to me right now. He lunged forward, tried to grab it from her hands. Nina shoved him back hard with both hands. Don't you ever touch my daughter again. David stumbled, caught himself on the armchair, almost fell. He looked around wildly at all 4 of us staring at him with disgust, realized he'd lost, that everything was over, that he'd confessed to everything on camera. He grabbed his keys from the coffee table. You know what? Keep everything. It's not worth this hassle anymore. Plenty of easier marks out there than you pathetic losers. He headed for the front door. Fast. Turned back at the doorway. One final cruelty. Marg, you'll never find anyone who treated you as well as I did. You'll die alone just like Robert did. Probably sooner. My mom found her voice. It came out stronger than I expected. Get out of my house right now. David smirked. It's my house too, remember? I'm on the deed. Nina's voice was calm. No, you're not. I checked county records yesterday specifically. She never added you. David's face fell. Genuine shock and disbelief. He'd really thought he was on the deed. That was his backup plan. His safety net. My mom stood taller. I was going to add you after our second anniversary next month, but that's clearly not happening now. David stared at her. At all of us. Realizing his entire plan had failed completely. Everything he'd worked for over 2 years. Gone in minutes. You're all going to regret this. Especially you, Marg. You have no idea what you just did. He stormed out. Slammed the door so hard a framed picture fell off the wall and shattered. Glass scattered across the floor. We heard his car engine start. Tires screeching out of the driveway. Then complete heavy silence. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Papers everywhere. Evidence scattered across the coffee table and floor. Proof of David's crimes covering every surface. My mom slowly sat back down on the couch. Stared at the restraining order still in her hands. After David left, the silence hung in the air for a full minute. Maybe longer. Nobody knew what to say. Papers were scattered everywhere. Bank statements, court documents, text message printouts. Evidence of David's crimes covering the coffee table and floor. My mom sat back down on the couch slowly, like her legs wouldn't hold her anymore. She stared at the restraining order in her hands. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was broken. I chose him over you. I sat down next to her on the couch. Didn't touch her yet. Didn't know if I could. Yeah, you did. My mom broke down completely. Started sobbing so hard her whole body shook. You showed me video evidence and I didn't believe you. I kicked you out with garbage bags. My own daughter. 5 months before graduation. We both cried. Years of pain pouring out at once. After a while, my mom wiped her face. Looked at me with red, swollen eyes. I'm not moving back in right away. I need time to process all of this. Her voice was so quiet. I understand completely. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make this right. Trying to earn back your trust. Nina and Mia stood up. Started gathering the documents. Giving us space and privacy. Nina touched my shoulder on her way out. You have my number. Call anytime. Day or night. Mia squeezed my hand. You did good today. You saved your mom from years more of this. They left quietly. The door clicked shut behind them. My mom and I sat together on the couch. Not okay. Relationship damaged maybe permanently. But talking. First step toward healing. The next week, my mom filed for divorce. Filed a police report. Gave them everything. Nina's documents. Mia's recording of David's confession. Bank statements showing the theft. David got arrested 3 days later. They found him at some woman's house in the next town over. Already working on his next victim. The pattern of behavior across multiple victims made the case extremely strong. 3 women, 3 teenage daughters. Same exact con every time. David tried to represent himself in court. Thought he could charm the judge. Turn everything around. Make himself the victim again. It didn't work. The prosecutor played Mia's recording in the courtroom. David's voice admitting to everything. Calling us easy money. Bragging about targeting a 15-year-old next. The judge looked disgusted. David got sentenced to 3 years in prison for financial fraud and exploitation. Plus identity theft because he'd opened credit cards in my mom's name without permission. Ordered to pay restitution. $50,000 to my mom, $30,000 to Nina. Plus court fees. Permanent restraining orders issued for all 4 of us. Me, my mom, Nina, and Mia. The divorce got finalized in 2 months. Criminal conviction made it fast. My mom got the house. David's name had never been added to the deed like he thought. That had been his big plan. His backup. It had never existed. My mom started individual therapy immediately. I started therapy too. First time since my dad died. After 2 months, we began family therapy together. Those sessions were hard. Lots of tears. Lots of painful truths getting said out loud. The therapist didn't let my mom make excuses. Held her accountable. You abandoned your daughter when she needed you most. When she came to you with evidence of abuse. You chose a con man over your own child. My mom had to sit with that. Own it completely. No deflecting. No justifying. I moved back in 3 months after David's arrest. It was awkward at first. We were like strangers. We'd eat dinner together most nights. Slowly rebuilding. Baby steps. My mom picked up extra shifts to pay off the debt David had left. I helped with bills from my part-time jobs. We worked together to fix what David had broken. I graduated high school in June. My mom sat in the front row crying through the entire ceremony. Mr. Henry gave me a special acknowledgement during the ceremony. For perseverance through extraordinary circumstances. Mrs. Amy was there too. Cheering louder than anyone. I got into college with what was left of my savings plus scholarships and financial aid. David's restitution payments started coming in. $200 a month from prison. It would take years to pay back everything. I chose a college 4 hours away. I needed healthy distance to heal properly. Space to figure out who I was without all this trauma. My mom understood. You need to do what's best for you. Always. I support whatever you decide. We FaceTime twice a week now. She visits once a month, brings groceries, and helps me organize my dorm room. Our relationship is fundamentally different than it was before. We both know that. It'll never be what it was when I was a kid and Dad was alive, but we're trying. Genuinely trying. I stay in regular contact with Mia. She's like having a protective older sister, someone who actually understands what I went through because she lived it too. Nina and my mom sometimes get coffee together, bond over their shared experience. Both mothers who chose the wrong man and lost years with their daughters because of it. 6 months after David's sentencing, I'm sitting in my dorm room writing this. December. Finals are done. Winter break starts tomorrow. I'm still in therapy, still working through trust issues, still processing complicated feelings about my mom, but I'm thriving. Good grades, made new friends, building an independent life on my own terms. David is in prison, lost everything, facing consequences for his crimes every single day. My mom and I are healing. Slowly. It's not perfect. Maybe it never will be. But we're making progress. I learned the most important lesson of my life through all of this. My stepdad tried to destroy me. He stole my home, my sense of safety, my relationship with my mother. He almost succeeded. But he didn't steal my future. He's in prison. I'm in college. Mom and I are rebuilding our relationship. And I helped save that 15-year-old girl from becoming his next victim. The cops contacted her mom with everything we'd found, warned her before David could get his hooks in. I learned that choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's survival.